Would you go on a dating show to try to win $50,000?
Well, of course not. I have my wife here.
Good answer.
First answer. Second answer.
This week, we're dropping some bombshells about this summer's hottest dating show, Love Island. I'm Hannah Williams.
And I'm James Daniels.
And we're going to share our 2 cents on whether or not clout is the new currency. We're also going to talk about how much Love Island contestants make, Love Island USA to be clear, how much the contestants are making in their day jobs, whether or not they get paid to be on the show, and whether or not James and I would want to be on Love Island. So James, how did we start watching Love Island?
So it was actually me that brought it up this season, at least, because I know that you've been watching some of the previous seasons.
No, I've actually never
Oh,
watched.
really?
Yeah, this is my first time watching it all the way through.
Okay, so yeah, I kept getting a lot of clips because it's a very clippable season. But I kept getting a lot of clips on TikTok that was kind of urging me or making me want to watch it. So then I came to you and was like, "Hey, we actually got to watch Love Island this season."
I swear this is why I love you, because you literally came up to me and you were like, "Can we watch Love Island?"
Yeah.
I was very pleasantly surprised and happy to say yes. Honestly, I haven't watched it because it is such a commitment. It's like an episode every single night, and it's not fun to watch on your own. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
a
I
lot
could
of
definitely see that.
yeah, like a lot of shows that we've watched in the past, like reality shows, it's fun to be able to talk about it with you. But I was like, he's not going to want to watch Love Island. Like, I can barely get you to watch Love is Blind. I can only get you to watch when it starts getting juicy and you're like, okay, I need to see what this is about.
That's what it was. It was all of the drama that kept, ensuing on the show that people were clipping and enticing me to watch the show.
You
So
had FOMO.
yeah, I have FOMO, honestly.
All right, well, they got us. We've been watching Love Island Season 7 USA, and I think that's important to mention because if you don't know what Love Island is, let me give you a quick breakdown. It's actually a British reality TV show. There is a USA spinoff, which is what we've been watching, but normally it's in the UK. So it's a British reality dating show where a group of singles who are known as Islanders, we're going to call them Islanders, contestants, things like that, but they're known on the show as Islanders.
Yeah.
They're secluded in a luxury villa. This time they're in Fiji. They
And
might
Fiji,
be
oh, the views are beautiful too.
beautiful, although they don't have like a beach. They haven't spent much time on the beach.
I mean, you got a pool and you got soul ties with the bed that looks right out over into the ocean. So I don't think you need a beach at that point.
I'm good on that. But so they're in this villa, and week to week, they almost actually not week to week, it's day to day. They're playing games, they're trying to survive eliminations, and ultimately they're trying to couple up to win a grand prize at the end. In the UK, I saw that it's a £50,000 prize, but in the US version, it's $100,000, which technically is split between the two contestants.
Yeah,
so it's
so
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah. Would you go on a dating show to try to win $50,000?
Well, of course not. I have my wife here.
Good answer.
First answer. Second answer. I meant to win $50,000. Like, yeah, that doesn't sound bad at all. And the whole purpose of Love Island is to find the love of your life, not only to win that money. So if you're walking out with, let's say you and I met on Love Island, I'm walking out with the love of my life and, an extra
bag.
$50,000, of course, I'd be ecstatic.
I kind of have a little bit of a different reaction. I actually don't think 50,000 is enough. The risk is what I'm thinking of. Like, they could paint you as this villain, and
Right.
now your entire look, if people see you on the street, they have an idea of who you are.
Yeah.
So that could be a gamble to your personal career, which we'll get into in a
Right,
little
but
bit.
that could also be a plus.
Right.
If you play your cards right, you can walk out with love, everybody knowing you as far as America goes, or the UK version, same. So love, clout, and cash. That kind of sounds like a good way to walk away from a game show.
Definitely. And it kind of makes sense because a lot of these contestants, we're going to go through now what their jobs are and how much they make in their day jobs outside of the show. But a lot of them have jobs that it seems like are a really good fit for this type of situation where they do want the publicity. Even negative publicity is good publicity to them. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research. I really had to do a lot of guessing in terms of the income because they are not paid transparent. Although I'm going to put this out there. If any Love Island contestant wants to come on Salary Transparent Street or be interviewed by us, I would interview any of them any day and try to get to the bottom of some of these questions. But I did as much digging and research as I could. And I went through and I ranked all of the contestants, all of the Islanders, up till what episode are we on? 13 or 14 now.
No, I think it's like episode 16 or something.
Okay, before Casa Amor, if you've been watching,
Yeah, because I know in Casa Amor they introduced a lot more people.
10 new
Yeah,
contestants.
and
We don't
with
have enough
that,
time.
yeah, and with that, like some of those people gave, or most of, or I think all of them told you exactly like what they did, and
Mhm.
from that, like I was kind of able to judge how much they were making based on what they said in the region that they were in.
I thought it was interesting though because you do get to know what they do for a living, like, they say that when they first come in,
Yeah,
but their socials kinda tell a different story for some of them. I did the research and I was like, "Are they actually this?" Or we'll get into it.
yeah, and from what I've seen on social, some of them definitely downplayed a lot of what they actually do,
Yeah.
versus some of them. It seemed a lot bigger of what they did.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm going to rank these based on lowest to highest income that I can assume. And starting at the bottom of the pyramid, we've got Hannah Fields, Hannah Banana. We shared a name in common, but not the taste in men. Pepe is not my type. She got sent home recently, but she had a good run on the show for a little bit, so I included her. But she's at the bottom because she's a student. She, I believe, is at the University of Arizona, and students don't make an income. Some of them do, but she'd probably still be at the bottom with that assumed
Yeah,
income.
and that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. The next one is Bella. She also had a decent run. She was part of the original cast, I would say. Do you remember
Oh
her?
yeah, Bell. I remember.
Bella,
Yeah.
right. So she is the one who lives in Hawaii, and her family actually runs a coffee shop there. So her title was coffee shop manager, but it's a family owned position. So I gave her kind of a good bump in what I would assume, but I would say running her family's coffee shop as the manager in Hawaii, she's probably making about 30 to $40,000 a year.
That's exactly what I was assuming. Usually manager roles don't pay that well, but they do pay pretty decent. So I'm thinking $30 to $40.
Yeah, I was actually kind of leaning a little bit lower on the lower end for that too because it is a family-owned business and I feel like you'd make less in a family-owned versus
Definitely.
like if you just applied to the job and
No,
they
no,
had to pay
definitely.
you by labor laws and stuff. So the next one is actually Austin Shepard. He is the pool technician, but I couldn't understand. I tried to get a good reading of whether or not he owned the pool technician company or if he was just an employee. I think that would make a big difference in his income. But if he's just a pool technician, it is a trade job. It can pay very well depending on your location. He is from Michigan, but based in Florida. So I'm sure he's got plenty of business. My guess was actually between 30 to 40K as well.
Okay, I was thinking a little bit higher than that, probably about 50 to 60, only because he is located in Florida.
Hmm.
And I know that there are a lot of businesses down there in Florida that do the same. And as far as like his role, I figured that he's more lower tiered, just based on his attitude. I
Yeah.
don't think that he's necessarily an owner or a manager at where he
That's why I
works.
kind of leaned low for him because I don't think he's a manager. He doesn't give me business owner vibes.
Definitely.
God help his employees. I'm sure they've got a lot of SA or SH complaints. But also, I think that it is a good thing to be in Florida where there's a lot of pools. But then at the same time, I'm like, you're also in a lower income area. Florida does not pay as high as other areas. And it's despite it being somewhat higher cost of living if you're in Miami, for example. But you're also kind of a small fish in a big pond over there. Like there's a lot of pool companies. So I feel like the competition is probably a lot
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah, I agree with you then. It does make sense, like the 30 to 40.
Yeah, so sorry, Austin. The next one up is Charlie. He was recently dumped from the island in it,
Isn't it?
but he is actually an actor. So I would guess for an actor that I've never seen on television before, he probably does some advertisements in the UK. I would assume probably between $30 to $50,000 a year, but he probably makes that much in pounds.
And I know that there's a lot of stiff competition for actors in the UK because that's where a lot of great actors keep coming from. So
Yeah, I would argue the best actors come from the UK.
yeah, he could not act for anything. Like he had the
He's not very good.
yeah, he had the opportunity to lie and say that every kiss was a 10 and he chose not to.
Yeah.
So I don't know how good at acting you could be.
No, he's not a good actor, but good luck with that,
Yeah,
Charlie.
good luck.
Charlie bit me. That's what I was thinking every time I saw him. Next up is Alandria. This one I didn't even have to do much digging. I knew immediately what she did for a living because the host keeps saying it every time he talks about
Yeah,
her.
yeah, it's super funny, and every time when she walks up the stairs, he has to mention
Elevator sales.
right.
So, if you could tell from that accent, she works in elevator sales, which honestly, I think probably makes decent money based on the people we've interviewed in sales. It's one of those careers that, because of commission and most of the time an uncapped earning potential, you can make a lot more than what you would see on average. But, it's all about whether or not you're in a location that has a high need for elevators, probably New
New
York.
York, that's what I'm thinking.
But she's in Alabama, I believe, so maybe not
Yeah,
as
that's
much.
so one, her role is like I've never heard of an elevator
Me
salesperson
either.
before. I didn't even know that that was a thing. Because I figured that whenever they put up buildings, they think, hey, maybe we should put an elevator in it.
But I
And
guess they do have to source, like, different manufacturers, and they go
yeah,
with different companies
makes
based on,
sense
like,
then.
how good their customer service is, like, it's a business.
Yeah, I'd love to hear her pitch.
Right, exactly. But because of her location in Alabama, and I also did some digging, I went on their socials and I tried to see, is there more to the story? Is this kind of a side hustle? She actually surprised me. I thought that she would be one of those models, where she does content creation on the side. I didn't really get that vibe though from her social media. I mean, she's a beautiful girl, she has beautiful pictures, but it's not giving professional model or professional content creator. So I think she actually does elevator sales.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would guess she makes probably between 55 to $85,000 a year,
Yeah, and that's base, or are you assuming with commission?
not including commission. It
Yeah.
could be over $100,000 a year depending on the commission.
Yeah. And Olandria, if you're watching this, I'd love to get some clarification on that.
Hey, come on Salary Transparent Street. We'd love to interview you. Just me though, not James.
It's natural.
It's natural. You can't fight it. So the next one is Jalen. If you remember, he had a very short run. He was the one that got a passport for this trip.
Yeah, yeah, I really liked him. He was a good, wholesome dude.
Yeah, and he seemed like he had a really good match with Alandria because of their Southern
Yeah,
values.
and with that, I know that he's a truck driver before you
Yes.
even say it, because I remember them saying it. And with that, as soon as I heard that he was a truck driver, I immediately started thinking, okay, how much does he make? Does he have his CDL? Is he regional? But then listening to him talk, it seemed as though like he was a regional truck driver
Yep,
rather
not
than,
like a big time.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because he said that he
He
only
works.
works Monday through Fridays. He's got weekends
Yeah,
off.
and I know that a lot of like, especially like cross country drivers, they don't take weekends off because that's
Right.
time to drive. Those are miles, which is dollars.
Yeah, so all that information, thank you for adding that because that's entirely what I base my decision off of. I actually don't think he makes more than 100K. I think he probably makes around the range of 75 to 100K.
That's literally, I was thinking 75,000.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it. We're on the same page. Okay, next up is Iris. Do you remember Iris is the
Yeah, yeah, I remember Iris because she's the one that wanted Nick, right?
yes,
Yeah.
or honestly they all kind of blend together after a
Yeah.
certain point. She
She
was
was the
with
one, yeah, I was
Jeremiah.
gonna say she was the one that was dating Jeremiah,
But
his
then it was
best friend.
platonic. Yeah,
Yeah.
his best friend, exactly. So Iris is actually a full-on content creator. She calls herself a digital creator. Girl, you are a content
Right.
creator. And if you look at her channel, I would say is more of an influencer than a content creator. It's more clothing, lifestyle, makeup, things like that, and travel. So I would say a healthy guess, she's got some pretty big brand partnerships on there, at least 100K.
It makes sense with content creation, then her going on the show actually makes a lot of sense as well too then, because with that clout, it helped boost her brand.
And in that same vein, I do want to bring in Jeremiah. He's not a content creator, but he is a model. And I would guess he's making also about 100K. He's got partnerships though with like Adidas, True Religion. I think we saw him in a TikTok video. He did a Gap commercial,
Yeah, I think it was either Gap or Kohl's or something like
Old
that.
Navy
Yeah, or
or
Old
something like
Navy.
that.
But yeah, people are finding them out there, so therefore he's been making business, or
hmm
he's been getting business. So yeah, I can imagine that he's making probably about 100,000, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah,
Um,
it depends because Adidas and True Religion to me, well, Adidas kind of gives more high profile, but like Old Navy, True Religion, it gives more catalog model, which they make less.
Yeah, at the same time too, Adidas, I kind of think of the same too because you don't see a lot of their models, modeling Gucci, Prada, stuff like that. Typically, if you're in that sports realm as a model, then you're more on the lower end, like Kohl's and Old Navy and stuff like that.
The next ones we're going to talk about are Amaya and Nick. I wanted to bring them up together because they're both nurses. They're both
Yeah,
registered
yeah, that's
nurses
right.
at that. They're
Yeah,
both RNs. Amaya's in New York and Nick is in Florida, which are both, I would say, pretty good places to be
yeah, pretty
nurses.
good cost of living.
New York probably makes a little bit more, but I would say based on nurses that we've interviewed, not including bonuses and overtime pay and things like that, I would say Nick probably makes about 100K and Amaya probably makes between 100 to 125K. The next person I want to bring up is a little bit ambiguous. Can you guess, based on all the people I've said, who's left, who you would think is a little ambiguous?
As far as their job,
Yeah, a little bit.
let me see.
One that's kind of like, huh, interesting.
I can't remember her name. Wait, first off, give me a clue. Guy or girl?
Girl.
Okay, then yeah, I mean, it's who I'm thinking is Shelly.
Shelly.
Yeah.
Yes, it is Shelly. Because do you remember what her job title is?
No,
What
I
she said
don't.
she is? She said that she's a day trader. Right? Right?
Well, okay.
Yeah. So I went to her channels. I did all the research because I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. But she is more of a model. Is
Yeah,
what I
okay.
would say. I think she probably day trades on the side. I'm happy that I didn't see any BS on her page about like day trading courses because I was like, okay, she probably makes a lot of money selling courses, but that's not super ethical. If you are selling day trading courses, I definitely look at day traders a certain type of way. You're more than welcome to do it, but I would not do it full time for a living, which is probably why it's something that she maybe does full time, but she has another job on the side. Although I do want to bring up Shelly in this income level, I would say she probably doesn't make more than 150K. I'd say maybe the 100 to 150K range with her model earnings. Although I do want to say it's on the lower end because I didn't see any major campaigns actually on her social. Like it seemed like a lot of it was more her own images, like based on what I saw, other creators when they had campaigns, they would post it and they would
Yeah.
tag the brands, but I just saw a lot of pictures of her where she would tag like the makeup artist and the photographer and I'm like, okay, so that was your photo shoot set up by management. It wasn't a photo shoot for guests, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and that makes a lot
So
of
that was
sense.
kind of confusing to understand like where she's at in the model game, but she had a lot of those, which gives me the sense that she's in it. Maybe she just doesn't post it the same way.
Yeah, I mean, what's her location?
I think New York. No, Florida.
Florida. Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, just based on that, I did do the research, so honestly, I can't say too much, but I'd say that she probably makes closer to 80,000.
Yeah, I'd probably guess that because day trading is really hard to. There's not a lot of day traders out there who actually make a profit at the end of their day trading careers.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, maybe she is more on the lower end. But I would say on the flip, there were some Islanders who are full on models that I ranked higher, and we'll go through them because I was really surprised by the work that they've done. Starting with Andrina, the new
Yeah.
bombshell that just came in. I was not surprised about this at all. She definitely has the body for it. But I went to her channels and I looked at, what she's a full-on model. That is her career. She doesn't day trade on the side. She's a model. She's repped by Wilhelmina Models, which anybody here listening who has watched America's Next Top Model probably knows that that is the number one model rep that you can get. But you may not know this,
I
James.
had no clue.
So if you meet a model who is repped by Wilhelmina, she's a legitimate model. She's booked and busy. And from her channel, can you guess where it seems she models for? It's not inappropriate. Maybe.
No clue.
Fashion Nova.
Oh, okay.
I saw some pictures and I was like, I've seen her on Fashion Nova before.
Yeah, will make sense with the fake butt and stuff like that too.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, she's booked and busy. Like it seemed like she had some luxury brands on there, some Dior, some Cartier. So
Okay.
she might be making money.
Yeah, that's surprising, especially because like when it came to talking about what she did, She said that she was a student that had just graduated. So
Right.
in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, she hasn't entered the workforce yet, but it would make sense that while she's a student, she got into modeling. So
The next one up is not a model, but she's a creator, which is kind of giving model in this way, shape, or form, Sierra. So I looked at her social, I did a little bit of stalking, and she is a bona fide influencer. She's worked with Skims, Urban Decay, Good American. These are Kardashian brands. Like, these are big tier brands. Getting a brand deal with Urban Decay is no small feat. Like, it's not like she modeled for them, she worked with them.
yeah, and that makes a lot of sense too, just based on her attitude. She's very outgoing, and it seems like she's very creative too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So I would guess that both her, Andrina, and Sierra, I'd guess maybe around 150K.
yeah, yeah, and that makes a lot of sense.
And we know that, like, I feel pretty confident guessing those earnings as creators ourselves. Like, we have 3 million followers. For one, I think any influencer who's like a standalone influencer who has 3 million followers wouldn't need to go on Love Island. Like,
Correct.
that's a pretty sizable following, and you're probably making a lot of money where you don't need to be on it. I mean, we've been transparent. This isn't breaking news. We made over $1 million last year. Granted, we have a corporation and it's between the two of us, but you can have creators who make that much take home. So I
Yeah.
think she's probably making about 150 to 200, both of them split between their followings.
Yeah, and it definitely makes a lot of sense. I mean, social media pays well, and if you look good, you get paid.
Period. 3 Islanders left. We've got Taylor, Huda, and Ace. Can you rank them based on your guess of who makes the most to the least? And granted, this is all an estimate.
I'd say Ace, Huda. Um,
Most to least?
and I was
Least to
doing
most?
yeah, least to
Okay.
most. Ace, Huda, then Taylor.
That's fascinating because it's the opposite, at least based on my estimates. So we'll start with Taylor. He is also a bona fide model. According to his job title, he is a cowboy and a model. I'm not going to give him too much earning for being a cowboy. I don't think there's a lot of money in that, even like the shows and stuff.
Thinking about it, yeah.
Eh,
Also, he's in Oklahoma, so
Right. Like these ranchers and stuff are not super rich. I mean, some of them are, but based on everything I've seen, there's not a lot of money in farming. And I didn't see much on his social channels of recent competitions he's been in as a cowboy, if that is something that he does. I feel like he would probably post about it if he had won like moolah in a competition like that.
right.
And I didn't see anything of that. I also saw, he didn't mention this, but as of his socials, as of September of 2024, he was enrolled as a veterinary medicine student at the Oklahoma State University.
Oh, so he was going to be a vet.
Yeah,
That's pretty
so
cool. I
he
mean,
might still be doing it.
yeah, if you own horses and stuff, though, I feel like that's a great track to go because then you could care for your own animals.
Yeah, and I was kind of looking at his socials a little slyly, like, is he more cowboy, on the show than he makes it out to be? He is giving real cowboy in his socials, so
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
yeah. From everything that I've seen, obviously, social media feeds me exactly what I want to see. Um, he looks like a for real cowboy. I know that he said that he does rodeo, and it makes a lot of sense. The scoliosis on his back makes a lot of sense. Like,
He might need to go see a back. That's something that we keep talking about is like looking at his shoulders. I'm like, that looks so painful. It's probably all the cowboy stuff, like all the riding horses,
all the
like
cowboy
all the
stuff.
cowboy stuff. But I would guess based on this, and I forgot to mention something really important actually. He's a bona fide model in the sense that he's doing luxury campaigns. Like, I think he makes the most of his money from that. He literally walked for Louis Vuitton. He
Yeah.
did campaigns for Louis Vuitton. He's making money. He was on the cover of Wonderland magazine, the cover. You have to be a decent model to get to that point. I was really surprised though, because on the show, I feel like he gives really humble vibes, but of all of them, he's actually the most accomplished model.
Yeah, which is very surprising. I mean, it goes to show that hitting the gym every day doesn't mean that you're going to be good enough looking to be on the cover of something, you
You
know?
just have to be tall.
Yeah, you just got to be tall.
Poor Ace. But Ace is laughing all the way to the bank because based on my estimates, he's actually the highest paid. And that's an estimate. I really want to be wrong because if you're watching Love Island, Ace is kind of the villain of this show. So not super happy about it. But next up is Huda. If you've seen any talk on social media, Huda claims to be a fitness coach. I'm not saying she's lying. I do believe it. She seems like she is a fitness coach. but it does also seem like she omitted some other occupations. Do you know what I'm leaning into?
Yeah, I'm thinking that she's also an entertainer.
A midnight
Yeah,
ballerina.
midnight ballerina, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I know that she dances, and that's very clear that she dances.
Yes, and she dances very well at that. She knows what she's doing. But being a fitness coach doesn't make you a lot of money. She is in Raleigh, North Carolina at that. So I guessed around 40 to 60K as a fitness coach, but I would add on with the dancing on the side. They make good money no matter where they are. It depends on the economy, of course. But I actually had her around the 150 to 200K mark.
I'd say closer to the 100K mark, only because I know the size of Raleigh, and it's still one of those southern states, so it's not, as wealthy.
Mhm.
But there is some good money in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I'd say probably about 100, 120.
Yeah, I would say that's a good guess. There are some assumptions I think that actually lean towards her making more in my book because on her socials, she does do online coaching. So it's not just like fitness coaching in Raleigh, North Carolina. She clearly plays the influencer game, and gets more of a following that way and more subscribers. So I would actually guess that she makes a little bit more just because of that. Because if you can use your platform and expand your reach outside of just Raleigh, North Carolina, like there's a ton of money in online fitness coaching, and especially with her banging body, she can probably be teaching some dance classes on the side.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, but she's a single mom, so I hope she's making every cent of it.
Some good bread.
Last but not least, at the top of the pyramid, unfortunately, is our villain, Ace Green. Ace, I would estimate, makes between $200 to $300,000 a year gross after taxes, take home all of that, as a content creator and dance company owner. You knew about Ace before I did. I didn't know he was a creator.
Yeah, so scrolling through TikTok, at some point in time, I came across one of his videos, and I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the guy's name is Jamal. He had suffered a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and his wife was taking care of him. And I actually saw a video of him and Ace like video streaming and dancing together and stuff. And I had seen
Aw.
a few more videos like that where Ace was, like dancing with people with disabilities, and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, like he's such a nice guy, granted, I understand, but I was like,
That's interesting though, because that's a complete juxtaposition of how he presents on reality
yeah,
television.
yeah. I mean, like these were the videos that I was seeing on a regular basis. I was like, oh, like he's a nice guy. And then when I seen
Wow.
the video of him on Love Island, I was like, oh, I know this guy, and like I know that he's a nice guy. So I'd love to watch, him on Love It. I almost said Love Is Island, but I'd love to watch him on Love Island, And then I started seeing other clips, and I was like, oh, now I gotta watch Love Island.
Well, he may be a completely different person in real life. I mean, I hope not, because that does sound really wholesome. And I like to think that people do things like that because they do have a good heart,
Yeah,
but
and that's what I
maybe
was
he needs
hoping.
to do a little bit more.
I think that he's nice in some areas, and then in other areas he's a snake.
Put him in the wrong environment and he can be a snake. Like
Yeah,
his
put him in
insecurities
the grass and he
really.
turns into a snake.
Well, I think he's just in an environment right now where his insecurities are just shining through. Like
Yeah,
he's surrounded by taller men. It's all about standing out and getting the women. That I think is probably pulling on some of his strings.
yeah, it makes a lot of dudes start pillow talking, and it makes
Yeah.
sense.
But I would say that he makes probably the highest amount of everyone on the list just because he is an established creator. He has over 2 million followers across TikTok and Instagram. We have 3, so we know how much that can make. And he also owns this dance company. He actually sells classes to do live dance courses. So, like, he teaches people how to dance, but he does it on live. So, he's
Yeah,
monetizing on the live and he's also monetizing with the course on top of probably brand deals that he's getting. Although I didn't see that he has official management, like his email is still a Gmail on his website, which is interesting. But he's been
okay.
on the Jennifer Hudson show, like he's been on these shows, which doesn't come with money. But if you're getting the eyes, then hopefully you're getting paid in some way, shape, or form. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and hope that he's making more than we're making, but I would say a healthy estimate is 200 to 300K, and he's probably making the most of everyone at the villa.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense with him not only doing social media as a content creator, but also being a company owner who also uses social media to help bolster his business. So
Exactly. If you own a business, you absolutely should be a part-time content creator as well, because that is the best way to market your business. So he's got two and two together. And that leads me to this conversation about financial sacrifices that the Islanders are taking to be on the show, and whether or not there is actually a reason that a lot of them are models and influencers, because that's kind of the career that it doesn't hurt to have negative publicity. I'm sure Ace has gained hundreds of thousands of followers across his channels, even though he's the villain. Like, it
yeah.
pays for people to be talking about you. But if he was the villain and like a psychiatrist or something, I don't know if you'd get many clients after that.
Oh, definitely not. But I mean, like you said, that's the reason why you go into these shows, though, because that publicity is definitely going to help him out a lot when it comes to not only just content creation side, but also his dance studio side.
Yeah, exactly. And it also helps with these financial sacrifices that we're going to talk about. I mean, if you're going to be there for who knows how long, and I don't know how the setup is, but I'm sure you have to be there at least a month before filming actually starts so that you can get set up, film the intro, then there's filming. You don't know if you're going to be dumped on the first night or if you're going to be there 2 or 3 weeks. So you have to take some level of unpaid leave if you have a 9 to 5. So that's money that you're throwing down the drain that you're not making. You may have to quit your job. There's some people who quit their jobs to go on the show, like full on. They
Yeah, if
take the
you
leap of faith.
yeah, if you don't have enough PTO to cover that, that makes a lot of sense. So far in the journey, we've watched about 2 weeks worth of
Yeah.
their time frame. At that point, a lot of people are already capped out as far as their PTO goes. One of the guys was
Yeah,
a
that would have been my entire PTO in my 9 to 5.
right, and one of the guys, I know that he was a financial analyst. He actually said that, and
Who?
it was one of the new guys at
Oh,
Casa
okay.
Amor, and he said that he was a financial analyst. So I'm like, you're definitely using your PTO or you quit for this because there's no way that you have enough time,
Yeah.
to be there for, I'm assuming 3 weeks to a month, to do this filming.
Yeah, and I think that that's what a lot of them do is if you make it on Love Island, they're really taking this leap of faith and hoping that they can launch their content creator, careers after this, because a lot of them just really lean into the social media aspect of everything. Like, I think Hannah, the student, she's probably hoping to build an entire career for herself as a content creator now using her experience on the show.
Yeah, I can definitely think that a lot of them are going to be utilizing, the fame that they've gotten from the show alone to
Mhm.
help, earn more money and get their face out there even more. I know that Taylor's definitely going to be benefiting from it
Oh,
because,
big time.
he's a model. And then Jeremiah, another good example.
Yep, yep, and he had positive sentiment, I would guess, for most
Yeah.
of the people, so I'm sure that's gonna help, if he didn't really give me influencer vibes before, but
But he
I'm sure
definitely
he's
gave
gonna
me
lean into it.
Yeah, he definitely gave me model vibes. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't seem as though like his personality is there, but his looks are there. So, I mean,
Dang.
I mean, he was pretty
He was kinda
laid back.
quiet,
Yeah, he was
yeah.
pretty laid back and quiet. And like, I feel as though if you're gonna go with the influencer route, you have to be willing to put your best foot forward at any occasion and like stand up for yourself and be outgoing. And
Eh, I think he's gonna be pretty successful after this. I'm sure he's got a lot of DMs.
yeah, a lot of print though.
Who
We'll
knows?
see.
But let's not discount. They might walk out with $50,000, which for some of them is how much they make per year after taxes.
Yeah.
So it could end up being worth it. They might make their entire year's worth of earnings. Although, is that $50,000 taxed? I would guess
I'm
so.
assuming it is taxed, especially because they're in Fiji. It's prize money, so I'm assuming that they'll probably walk away with probably about 33, maybe even less of that.
Yeah, 35, maybe 40 some, but hey, that's not chump change,
Yeah,
it
definitely
could
not chump
could
change.
end up being worth it for them, and if they have to end up pivoting careers, they have enough money to pay for the education they might need for that.
Yeah, or a new car.
Or a new car. It depends what your priorities are. But this leads me to the next point of how much does it cost to be on Love Island? Do you think that they're paid while they're there?
I don't think that they are because they're providing them with food and housing, and
True.
as well as them understanding that you're here to win a prize money. So We're
It's
not
like
gonna pay.
publicity,
Yeah, we're not
yeah.
gonna pay you.
Yeah, the Today Show's not gonna pay you to come on the Today Show. Like,
Exactly.
you're
Yeah.
welcome to have the
Yeah,
opportunity to go on the
that's
Today Show.
exactly what I'm thinking. Is they're
Yeah.
like, this is an opportunity for you, not us.
I found conflicting sources on this, but some people say that the contestants don't make any money for being on Love Island. But there was actually a contestant who kind of spilled the beans in a TikTok that has since been deleted. But it was reported by Cosmopolitan and this Islander that they were making about $375 a week to be on the show. So the show actually did pay them to pay for expenses and bills that they had back home, like car payments and rent and stuff. But that's just one Islander. They took it back. They didn't confirm or deny afterwards. They
Mm.
probably violated their contract, which is why they are keeping mum on the issue. But there's conflicting reports there. Although some agencies, like the people that manage the Love Island stars, have come out and said that they've earned between $20,000 to $30,000 a month for 5 social media videos. So they kind of spilled the beans on a partnership deal there. So, if you're getting paid 20 to 30K a month in exchange for posting the promotion of Love Island on your channels, that's a pretty good trade-off.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good trade-off. Imagine being a content creator who not only went there, you don't necessarily have to win, but you go there, you get that publicity, and then you make those few posts. That's a good year for me.
If you're smart and you save it away, you've got yourself a nice little chunk of change to
Yeah.
get you through the hard days. But it's important to remember as well, especially when it comes to the girls, that there is lifestyle inflation going on hard here. Like, they have to have their nails done, their lashes done, their hair done, the perfect tan. They have to have a wax. Like, all these things definitely cost a bunch of money each
Yeah.
month, and probably more than what the guys are spending. But the guys are spending some money too. They probably all went and got new outfits, they got their hair done, they got their teeth done. So there's a cost to appearing on Love Island that I would assume is probably between $2,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, easy.
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 Yep, because you want to look your best, and that definitely comes at a cost.
Yeah, I mean, you see that Ace's tattoo artist, he's posting the videos of him tattooing Ace. I'm pretty sure that he did that not too long before going.
No, because it's still really dark.
Yeah, it's like really fresh. So he most
Yeah.
likely did those not too long before he left. And I mean, those cost money. Tattoos aren't free.
That's a really permanent decision for something that he might regret down the
Well,
road. Who knows?
it's a smart decision on his behalf being a short king because tattoos kind of,
Elevate you.
yeah, well, like it
And everyone knows his name. It's on his back.
in carnival letters. But no, tattoos kind of hide how short you are. Like if you got tattoos on the legs, it kind of elongates the legs a little bit more.
Or
You,
it shortens them.
well, for you, but you're already 5'2", so that makes sense.
5'1". Thank you
Yeah.
for the extra inch. I'll take it. But a lot of these islanders, if you don't make enough on the side and you're 9 to 5, you might be dipping into family loans, an actual loan, getting a side hustle. So who knows? This could really be one of those things where it's keeping up with the Joneses, but they may have a different bank account statement than what their appearance gives off.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to think about it too. You're going into this house with all of these other people who, I mean, from the list that we just created, some of them are on the higher end and some of them are on the lower end. And you still
You're
have to
keeping
keep,
up.
yeah, you have to keep your appearance up with that person.
Yeah, that can eat into your wallet. But I do want to shout out an honorable mention here to the host, Ariana Madix, because she blows everybody out the water. If you didn't know, I wouldn't assume you to know this, James, but Ariana Madix is a very esteemed, bona fide, very
Established?
well-known reality TV star. She actually blew up, I believe, before she started hosting Love Island, because there was a really messy cheating scandal that she was in. She used to be on Vanderpump Rules, if you've ever heard of that.
I've heard of it, never seen an
Oh,
episode.
it's been, I think they've had multiple seasons. So she used to make bank on that show, created an entire career for herself there, transitioned to Love Island. So based on what we know of how much she made in Vanderpump Rules, do you know how much she made per episode?
Oh, I can only assume how much.
For Vanderpump Rules. This is
Oh.
before Love Island.
No.
$25,000 per episode and $600,000 per season. And that's how much she was making with Vanderpump Rules. So all the estimates are that is a lot lower than what she's
Yeah,
making on Love
I would
Island.
say like that's if you had to think like very bare minimum of what to get her on that show, I'd think of that. But like she's most likely bringing in probably a good 35
Yeah, I'd
per
say
episode.
35 to 40.
Yeah, per
Yeah,
episode, and that's
easy.
why they only have her on a few episodes.
Yeah, they don't have her there the whole time, but
Yeah.
she's making a couple 100,000 probably for the
Yeah,
season.
and it makes a lot of sense too because as we've seen as the season has progressed, they really have a big budget for this show.
Oh, yeah, they got Megan the
So,
Stallion
yeah, so
on.
they can definitely afford it. I would definitely say that there is probably 35 to 40 for her to
Mhm.
appear, every 2-3 episodes.
Crazy. So to wrap it up, I think it would be interesting to talk about, kind of like we did with the Labubu episode, how people are making money off of Love Island, off this craze, and monetizing it in their own careers. There are a few that we have seen on social media that I think are really cool. Number one is bars and social venues. They are playing it at 9 p.m. on, the big screen where they would normally show sports. And I think that is so genius because you're tapping into a completely different clientele. Most bars really market to men and they play sports on the TVs. But here, you're getting the girls and the gals and the gays and the theys into your
Well,
bar.
and that's really smart marketing because what would drive men to a bar?
The girls.
Exactly.
That's point blank, period.
So you don't even have to market to men to get the men to come.
Yeah, and I see it from a girl's perspective. I think that sounds so much fun because I love watching Love Island with you, but I could see like, if I was single and,
And in a friend group
and in a
and
friend group,
yeah.
I would go watch it with a bunch of girls at the bar. That
Yeah.
would be so
And
fun.
that does sound fun. I mean, like, hell, even you and me going to watch it, I'd be like, all right, cool. This
Yeah.
is going to be a good night. But
We could do that.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be so fun. And the bars, I'm sure, are monetizing off of it. Another way is with happy hour menus, like specific curated cocktails, like
The Huda Hurricane,
the who James, you should own a bar. Like
come see me.
you're welcome for this great idea if you own a bar, because the Huda Hurricane is absolutely what it should be. Maybe the Ace Aperol Spritz,
Yeah.
like there's so many ways to have fun with it and to just amp up the marketing to get people through your door. I think that's genius. Others is pretty obvious, but small businesses are able to make a bunch of merch off of this, off of the memes, off of the recaps, off the names. The other one that I think is kind of interesting, especially if you are a influencer of any type, is recreating contestant looks. So a lot of the girls, they do their hair really cute. They do these really cute makeup looks. So recreating those would definitely generate a lot of views.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Another one for content creators or anybody that's in media is recap podcasts, recapping the episode the prior night. Any type of content you can create about Love Island. It is like the hottest thing right now. And it's always trending on Twitter and Threads whenever it goes live. People are talking about it in real time. So doing live streams or meme pages or just commenting on the topic is good content.
Yeah, and just clipping. If it qualifies, then like clipping. But I know that like big live streamers, they actually have people that clip and repost their live streams
Yeah.
and make money off of that. And like, yeah, they tell people like, hey, do you want to be a clipper for me? And like that's what they do. They clip parts of the live stream.
They have to
and post
split
it.
some of that. There's no way because they're making money off of their content. I wouldn't hire somebody
Some
to
of them
clip our
encourage it.
content.
So like I know I've seen one. I think it was either Kai or Speed, one of them.
Oh, wow. But they're huge.
Yeah, but it was like some guy that they were talking to, and it was like, look, I can help set you up with a clip account, and that'll easily bring you in 30K.
I have my doubts.
I think that it works.
We'll do some more research.
Yeah, we'll do some more
this.
research on that and bring it
We'll
back to you guys.
follow up. TBD, TBD. But the last one is just, I think, a really interesting idea is dating coaches. If you are in any type of coaching, there's some way that you can make money off of this. Dating, fitness. If you want to get the Huda booty, like you could do a full like fitness challenge, a 30-day Huda booty challenge. Like there's so many ways that you can market existing services that really lean into this type of audience and what they're watching and what Love Island is all about and make it your own.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So all of this to say, you can make a lot of money being on Love Island if you play your cards right and you don't get dumped right away. But what does this say about dating in general? I think we should zoom out and look at the bigger picture because Do shows like Love Island, and this is where the 2 cents really comes in, does it encourage falling in love or for leverage?
Mm, that's a good one. I think for leverage, honestly,
Yep.
because what we see is if you're in a couple right away and you think that you're falling in love, that's not what people want to see.
Yep.
So,
Just last night, we were talking about when I used to work with the Commanders. One of the things that I learned right off the bat, because they had just drafted some rookie, and it was like the hot news one day that he had gotten engaged. And I was like, wow, like, they moved fast, or I said something like that. And this girl looked at me and she's like, are you stupid? Like, this is what they all do. And I was like, what do you mean? Explain it to me. And she explained to me that these athletes are encouraged by their management to get married straight out of college right after they get drafted and pop out some babies because being in a couple makes them look better to the owners of the football team. It increases their odds of, sticking around, not getting traded, like looking like a family man from a male perspective is incredibly good for your career.
yeah, I could definitely see that.
It's on the flip for the women though.
Yeah.
But if you
You have to stay
have
available if you're a woman, but if you're a guy, you have to show that you're not afraid of commitment.
Right. But also, if you are a content creator and you're in a relationship, we both know that there's so much money in relationship content. And it's kind of a reason that we've avoided it. Like we have this podcast, but we've avoided doing a lot more relationship content because it's a slippery slope.
It really is, and people start judging really quick.
We get a lot of it already. I think we got our first taste of it when we posted the video about how much our wedding cost. We
Yeah.
really got a taste of the ugly side of exposing your relationship to the internet. And I think we've decided at this point that we're going to stay on private for as long as we can. We're going to be on do
Yeah.
not disturb mode aside from this podcast. And that's a smart reason. But I think about it every now and again. We would be so much richer if we really leaned into it, but that's just not a good trade-off for me.
Yeah, it's the financial versus mental that you have to balance, and that's the biggest thing is do we want the finances? Well, then we have to be willing to take a hit as far as our mental stability goes.
Yeah.
And if we want to maintain that, then we have to be okay with taking a little bit of a hit in the pockets.
Yeah, there's always a trade-off, but it's important to know what your values are and what you're looking for out of it. And for me, I am not going to expose our relationship for fame. Like we already have a podcast, we already have this platform, and I like how we've positioned ourselves. So I don't think we have to do anything extra, but I could see how other people it is something that they would want to lean into, not because they're really into those people, but because it helps them line their pockets.
Yeah.
And the last one is, should we even take reality shows like this seriously, or are they really just career accelerators for the future influencer? Like, are these shows more so looking for who's the next Alex Earl instead of really putting couples together?
I take the show for what it is, which is entertainment. It's very entertaining to watch. It's very entertaining to hear the drama and watch the TikToks and all the clippable stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't think that in such a short time frame that these people will find actual love. It'll be more so just like a deep interest in one another.
A trauma bond.
Yeah, a trauma bond. Like you're put in this spot with a bunch of different people on a constant basis. The person that you're coupled up with is kissing someone else in front of you on a regular basis. So it's the trauma bonding with them that'll bring them together, but I don't think that it's love.
Part of me actually wonders if Ace wanted to destroy, like break apart Huda and Jeremiah so bad because he knew that they might make it to the final and
And
get the
yeah, and
50K.
that's what I think.
And he was just like, well, we can't have that,
Yeah.
like so we all know this, but destroyed like one of the actual connections in the show. So it really shows that it's not about the connection, it's about playing the game.
Yeah, it's a game. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game. And your goal is to reach that $50,000 prize at the end by
Yeah.
any means necessary. So with that, that means that you may have to break up other couples because they
Who
have a
have a
better
real
chance. Yeah,
connections.
and I believe at one point in time he did say something in the show. It didn't get like highlighted, but I did hear him say something along the lines of like they got together really quick and they think that they're just gonna ride that out to the end of the show.
He
And I
let
was like,
that
why would you?
Freudian slip,
Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
why would you be mad at that? Like
because they're
if
taking
they're
his
in
money.
deep like, let them be in deep like. But
Mhm.
he's like, nah, I don't like that.
Yeah, people are saying it's not Love Island this season, it's Hate season or
Yeah.
Hate Island,
It's
so
definitely Hate Island. And I'm telling you, the snakes is in the grass, bro. Watch out for them.
for sure, sharks in the water. But the last question before we wrap up is really a fun little 2 cents. Obviously, we're married, so, I wanted to ask you, would you ever go on Love Island? But let's just play devil's advocate. If you were solo, if you were single before we got married, or would you go on Love Island Married Edition? What are your 2 cents? Would you also quit your job for clout and a hot tan?
Um, no and no and no.
No and no and no.
So, to be honest though, first question, would I go on Love Island if I was a single guy, before we got married? I think I would have gave it a shot.
Yeah, because you were in the military too, so I
Yeah.
feel like that would have played in your
Yeah, I
favor.
mean, because like a lot of the things that I think kind of would catch a lot of people off guard, I'm used to. Like how everybody has a bed in the same room. I'm used to that.
Right, true.
Everybody's
You're trained for
all
this.
right. You're cut off away from the rest of society. I'm used to that. So like I don't think that it would have been as big of a jump for me. The part that I do have a problem with though.
You'd be cooking everybody breakfast.
Right. That's the thing, though. In the military, whenever we were out in places, like I told you, we would cook breakfast for everybody,
Mhm.
if we had the capability to do so. So, like, all of those things are still the same for me. So, I wouldn't be changing up my routine too much. The part that would get me is I'm supposed to be in a couple with somebody, and now I have to sit and watch them make out with literally everybody else here.
And not take it seriously.
Right. And then
But maybe you should take it seriously.
yeah, and then a few minutes later, I have to go have a chat with you and be like, "Yeah, that was fun." Yeah,
How do you feel?
I'm like, "No, what do you take those lips off your face
Mhm.
and go wash them?"
Yeah. That would be it for me is like the germs. I like the spitting episode.
Oh, that
I
one was
couldn't
the
even
worst.
watch it. Like I would have literally had to tell the producer
Yeah,
I can't
I was
participate in
like, "I
that
gotta leave."
for health purposes. Like
They were
just
like, "It's James and Hannah's turn." I was like, I got a doctor's note that said I can't participate."
I think I could do it with you if I had to. If it was
If it
a
was life
life
or
or
death.
death, like if
Yeah.
it was life or death, I could do it. But even with you, I would be gagging. Like,
No, I can't do saliva like
which
that.
is funny
That's
because Hannah was the only other one that was gagging. So her and I think alike at the same time.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I could do it. I think honestly, I probably wouldn't have because I remember in college I got a job at Hooters and I was gonna make a lot of money and my dad like shamed me into not taking the job just
Yeah.
because of, the perception and stuff and that's kind of stuck with me in a way I really hate that it has, but I do worry like, people have a perception of you after getting a certain, glance at you and it's unfair that that's one way for women and another way for men. But I probably, if I was younger, still in college, I had big dreams for myself. So it would have been a no for me just to protect my reputation because I saw myself in like boardrooms and stuff in the
Yeah.
future.
No, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
So we want to hear your 2 cents. Would you quit your job to chase clout and a hot tan in Fiji with other hot singles? Let us know in the comments below and we'll have a poll going on Spotify as well. We'd love to hear your 2 cents and we hope you enjoyed this episode.
Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.